It's amazing. You live long enough, you almost see things go full circle where people start to like almost become to think that something that was bad is not so bad in hindsight. And that's the case when I think about Ronald Reagan and Reaganomics that is the pipeline to Donald Trump. Because Reagan is his blueprint. And Reagan had everybody scared of Russia. It's funny how Trump's all in the WW, but it's a trip when you think about the mindset. The whole astrology of Nancy Reagan and just say no and everything that goes on. It's crazy because Reagan was like a smooth talking bully. He was one of those cats that was racist to the bone, um, wasn't caring about people with AIDS or anything or different things like that. And but he was also like trying to bring immigrants for different things. He was going about things in a very distinctive way, but it was cold and cunning. But he also it's a twisted way about this cat. He didn't badmouth Jimmy Carter. He didn't badmouth. He was very how he was with people. But there was bully tactics, and he definitely had situations, the things that he did. It's just that he was more from that old school way of doing it. Whereas Trump is like kind of like tries to throw everything out there and wants to come across as the baddest bully that he can be. But there is a correlation between the two. But I'm gonna tell you a funny story. Because I was a teenager, I was a real young kid to teenage years when Reagan was in. It's funny to hear people saying that Reagan wasn't so bad. That's how embarrassing the Trump situation is that they got people up here cutting cap and please saying that he wasn't as bad. I think y'all must not remember the crack epidemic and everything that happened to the neighborhoods and how everything was just as how everything was so and he wasn't exactly hunky dory about passing MLK Day as a holiday either. Trump's always trying to bask in that and mess with that. Um, but the difference is that Reagan had a slickness to him. But they both had SAG cards. Both were actors on TV. Both had personalities, you know, multiple wives. Had some just has dysfunction in their family. There's a lot of stuff that's similar. You know, um, it's a trip when you broke laws too, because Reagan knew about Oliver North, as did Bush Senior. See, it's funny how these things kind of like it's a mystery. And what has happened is, as I'm going to title this video, Ronald Reagan has somehow become almost, dare I say, acceptable compared to Trump. But it's very much out the Reagan playbook. The mega thing is nothing but out of the Reagan playbook. And the people back then were like all feeling good. I think the thing is as though the difference when the Reagan era was around, the music was better though. You had more rebellion. You had more counterculture. So it seems. You had this counterculture, you had this attitude in spite of it. Because one thing about it was he wasn't, how do I say this? He was impactful, but he wasn't making everything about him like Trump does. But it is cut from the same playbook. It's just amazing how uh the similarities, but yet the tactic, the take is done differently because Trump is not a polished cat like Reagan was. But Reagan was very much about what he was about, obviously with the situations he was in. But it's crazy when I think about it because are they that different? Are they that similar? Cut from the same cloth? You just gotta kind of wonder about a lot of this stuff. But it's funny how Ronald Reagan is almost being talked about like acceptable figure. I know Bushy is, and that's a whole nother video because Bush was also a blueprint for Trump too, because he did actually steal an election from Al Gore, which we don't talk about. But that's a whole nother topic. Talking about Bushy Jr. But Reagan, yeah, the Reaganomics thing is not different than Trump thing, and it was definitely a cut from the pages of the books. It's definitely cut from there. But let me know what you think. Has Ronald Reagan become acceptable when compared to Donald Trump when you think about conservatism and from 40 years ago. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm on one time. Peace.